So, since his early childhood, Hindu mythology and culture has influenced Ash in his graphic design, multimedia, and advertising industry. With 18 years of experience in the industry, his passion for digital art and animation allows him to express his vision and creativity for Hindu deities in the most vibrant and cinematic ways possible. Over the years, he has grown his social media following. Platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and others have given this local South African Indian the platform to showcase the power and beauty of Hindu deities, allowing him to capture and share the essence of divinity.
He's recently hit milestone achievement of 100K followers on YouTube, receiving the award from the YouTube platform itself. Today we sit in studio with Ash himself. Good afternoon to you.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
It is so good to have you in studio. I know you've done it a lot and you're probably down that road. You're like, hey, you know what? I'm tired of this now. But let us just take one more moment to celebrate this phenomenal achievement. How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
You are good?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we're here for a very, very special discussion. So let us just get right into it. Before we do go forward, tell us a little bit about your early life. Tell us, where does Ash come from?
Well, I've always had a huge passion and fascination for art, especially in fine arts. And as a little boy growing up with my millions of pens and color pencils and crayons, and then developing it into a full-on career,
Yes.
it was a no-brainer that I'd go into the digital art space because of my passion for art and design.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about sort of your early life. Where do you come from? Are you from in and around Durban? Where are you formerly from? Tell us a little bit about your schooling career.
Well, I come originally from Durban, born and bred, surrounded by all the cultures, all the fascinations that is Durban. I studied multimedia in the Tshwane University of Technology, TUT, in Pretoria, and then I moved back to Durban, and that's when I started my career in the design field.
Okay.
I want to ask you, what was that experience moving from Durban, studying at TUT, and then coming back?
It was a bit of an adjustment, especially for a local Indian boy. But it was a pleasant experience. I loved my time in university. Yeah.
Okay, so what made you go to TUT specifically? Were you looking for other animation courses here, graphic design?
Well, at that particular time, TUT was the only university that offered the course that I wanted to study, which is a BTech in multimedia.
All right.
So it basically covered the entire spectrum of, the creative space.
Right. So multimedia encompassed everything from graphic design, animation,
Yes.
and therefore you wanted something that had a holistic approach in that
Correct.
degree. Okay, perfect. So it was just very interesting to know how a Durban boy, a lot of Durban boys don't like to leave home.
Yes, 100%.
They don't like leaving home. They don't like leaving their moms. That is very biased.
Well, mind you, this was many, many moons ago.
Yeah. So
So
you were ahead of your time. Let's just put it that way. Guys, I'm not taking a dig at any of my friends, but Ash, I think that was a very brave move to make back then. You obviously had a vision then for something, and you're achieving or reaping your rewards now. Do you feel that way?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It was, as I said, it was a no-brainer, the field that I wanted to get into. And thankfully, my family has always been extremely, extremely supportive of my passion for the arts.
Because let's think about it. Multimedia is not something that you got into many, many years ago, unless you really had this creativity or you had a supportive family or something. It's like if we had to go and tell our parents, okay, listen, we're not studying at the normal degree, right?
We're diving into something that I've got a really bold a following or
Yes,
citizenship for
yes.
to actually get it out there successfully.
Yeah.
It's not the stock standard high expectation
Yes.
degree. Even though, by the way, that stock standard high expectation degree that
Yes.
all of our parents would say go into like safe jobs or safe,
Correct.
spaces in terms of career and industry.
Yeah.
So well done on that.
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's always something that you can secure or fall back on, like get a degree that you can fall back on, but you have chosen to venture into a path where it's a risk.
Yes.
It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
And I think every bit of success that you gain out of that is purely based on the amount of work that you've put into
Correct.
it.
I think
So curious little me wonders, at what age did you start?
You've got
With-
18 years of experience.
with
so tell us.
with your creating, and tell me something, like what did you find yourself designing the most? What was your art back then?
Well, I started from a very young age, a little kid,
We're
always,
talking about 6, 7.
yeah, somewhere around there, always creating, always inventing stuff, always drawing, painting, sculpting, and then obviously with exposure and accessibility to computers, that basically translated into the digital space. And it started off as in my career in terms of graphic designing, marketing, advertising, and in my spare time, the more creative sides.
So are you telling me that as a child you could sit there and look at something and decide, okay, I want to draw this down?
Yeah.
Anything. It could be anything. It could be a picture of a room, a picture of a person, a concept. Does the designs come purely based off something that you mirror onto a page, or in the head?
I think both. I think mirroring actual life is a good practice method for being able to manifest your own visions and your own imagination a lot better.
Like, how could I improve this?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So talk to us a little bit more about the Hindu deities, because from the Ash that I met many moons ago, maybe about 10 years ago, I would never have said, because when I met Ash at a publication house or a graphic design house, we were working in terms of academia, right, putting publications together, and Ash was very specific and very helpful in terms of my non-creative side.
Okay.
So he actually was the guy that we would look forward to going and seeing, spending our entire afternoon with, and to allow ourselves to have a little bit of fun and creativity, but like he would lead, he would guide us. So
Yes.
Ash, take away from that now, because work is work,
Yes.
right? You sometimes work doesn't really give you that platform to go out and explore and express yourself. Talk to us about the Hindu deities. Talk to us about how you got into that. What your love for your culture, basically all of that. Let us know how you got to where you are now.
Well, I think that stems from being brought up and raised in a very traditional spiritual family. And like I said, from a very young age, growing up listening to my grandmothers telling us stories about the Hindu deities, about our cultures and traditions. And that always fascinated and that always stuck with me. And when it comes to Hinduism specifically, it's a very vast pool of source material to work with in terms of its vibrance, its colors, its awe-inspiring stories. So you're never short of inspiration.
I agree. I truly agree. I think your designs pleased me a lot in the last year when I think you created the Navaratri deities for every single day of the year.
Correct.
And you had posted that up, and I felt like
Those went viral, right?
everybody woke up every day like, okay, we've got this to put it up to like, you fast and you
Yes.
feel the presence, and you're like, oh, okay, what do I put up today? And then you had Ash providing us with the deity specific to every single day with the most exotic, beautiful. I think it was so mesmerizing.
It brought
Every
out the
single
brilliance,
design, every single day to like, no, I don't want anything else. I want to put this up. This is representing the day to day. And another thing that I actually wanted to touch base on is you did speak to us that you come from a Hinduism background. Do you hail from the South Indian part or the North Indian
It's
part?
South Indian.
So we've got a Tamil tiger in studio.
Telugu, actually.
Telugu. There we go.
We're very specific about that.
I think I love that. I love the specificness, and I think the Telugu language is some sort of in between, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Do you know how to speak?
Unfortunately, not in a spoken sense, but of course, in terms of the prayers and bhajans, we grew up learning that. So that's kind of like the most I know.
Yes, okay. Go for it. So, furthermore, what I'd like to touch base on is that these designs that you've put out on social media, how long has it been since you have created your Instagram following? Because I have taken a look at it. I think all of us have taken a look at it, and that takes hard work.
It does, yes.
So, how long ago did you decide, hey, let me jump onto that bandwagon of getting the designs out there?
I think in my case, it was with most social media platforms in the earlier days of social media, of the social media platforms coming onto market, was when I decided to jump onto it at that particular time. And I kept my my content very niche based in terms of my designs and my creativity, and it's just been there over the years. And as I develop, as I create stuff, it's been an available platform for me to constantly post on.
As I have viewed it, I feel like every single post that I see of yours, you have put in, I think, the detail. People do not understand the detailing that goes behind the smooth outcome that we view, because that's what I'd like to call it. It is so smooth, your designs. They have such a firm sort of, if I could touch it, I feel like it would be like a baby
The
soft.
realism,
they have a softness to it. So
It's
as
so
much
real.
as you are like expressing in your way, the vibrancy and the power and the beauty of these deities, there's a softness that comes across in it. So I know that you were speaking about the Navaratri pictures just now, and I think last year, the year before, was one of the first times that I actually started posting some of the pictures. But I will tell you that what it does is it shares with people who are maybe not so in touch with their culture, or maybe not so in touch with that specific prayer time, or whatever the case is.
Yes.
That it makes you realize, oh, I want to know a little bit more. And that's what I felt about it.
That is intrinsically the aim for my art, is to motivate, to inspire, to educate, to enlighten people. And that goes across all generations, from the younger generation that may not necessarily know about this, to the older generation that would appreciate seeing these deities in such cinematic ways.
So I'm going to agree with that, because there's a lot of, I would say, Indian kids, very young Indian kids. We've got them going to private schools, Model C schools, whatever the case is, that are not so in touch with their Indian culture in general, right? Sometimes, I would say a while ago, it was like sort of like looked down upon. No, you Indian, you this, you whatever. We sort of westernized ourselves a lot. But with all of these pictures coming out, and I think with the power of social media, a lot of the youngsters, and when I say youngsters, I'm talking early teens now, right? They are starting to embrace their Desi. Desi is one thing, but their heritage as well. They are wanting to put on their dots. They are wanting to wear Indian outfits.
Correct.
They are wanting to like pitch up in proud in their culture at different events. And I've seen it with some of the youngsters in and around, families and friends and things like that.
And just to add to that, I think that creating so much for youngsters and allowing them to just indulge into that kind of creativity also allows them to open up that portal of engaging back to their faith.
Yes.
Spirituality.
Absolutely.
It has, I know it helped me a lot. I think that it should help other people, and it has helped a lot of other people, where you look at it and you're like, okay, we're dressing up, let's dress up. We're pitching up,
There's
let's pitch up.
There's an excitement to it.
And
now,
then
right?
you pitch up, and then you're like, wow, I need to engage. I need to finally gain my faith again. And you are literally opening that path for them to walk down it again.
Correct.
So Aisha, I think we would have had a radio show in between the 90s, right? So there must have been a time when I remember this, you saying to me, what colors are we wearing? Oh, I don't have an outfit for, the next, that, just something like that.
Like, what color is it today? Or
yeah.
What are you serving the deity today? And that is what you had provided to everybody on your platform. And that is something, because we have personally engaged with those posts, that is something that will always stick for me. Because who am I running to when I'm ready to light my lamp? I don't know what offering to give through. So I'm going to your platform, I'm typing your name, going onto the post, okay, today we are serving this to this deity. What is the mantra? This is the mantra.
Correct.
Detailed, creative, but put out there, informative, so much of help to everybody. And was that your aim?
It was, actually. Originally, as an artist, I think the innate goal isn't specifically, looking for followers or likes or so on and so forth. It's just to basically put the art out there. And it is definitely in the detail, whether it's the specific soundtrack that accompanies the artwork, whether it's the message. There's always something motivational about the posts and the art that I put out there, because I know deep down, whether it resonates with 100,000 people or whether it resonates with just one person for the day, then it has served its purpose.
You have genuinely helped a lot out there. Now, taking it back to your designs, what do you provide to the people out there? What do you have to provide to us? What are your services? Do you have a service base underneath this career of yours?
In terms of my my business
designing
services.
and your business services.
Well, I personally have a multimedia and design business, so I basically cover the entire spectrum of digital marketing and advertising,
Okay.
from the graphic designing to video and animation, photography, web designing, so on and so forth. It really exercises your design and creative muscle in terms of being able to do everything, and it increases your knowledge base and your skill set, especially when it comes to not only catering for your clientele, but also in the creative, in the design, in my hobbies as well.
Okay, and tell me something. From the time you have obviously branched out into this career and you decided that you would like to make an income-based service provider, and you want this to be a business, how have you sort of pulled in your client base? How have you worked by that? What have you done strategically to make sure that you have had something solid to stand on?
Well, I started off my career in an agency, a design and advertising agency, for many years. And my personal philosophy is, no matter how big the project is, no matter the client, whether it's a small project or a large project, to always put your best into whatever you do. And the artwork, or the designs that come out of it, because that's where you basically create a reputation for quality. So when that translated into me moving on to my own business, I established a reputation of creativity, quality, and those types of things.
And that was just purely based off your own creation and what you decided to personally put into your business to get out there. And I think just having you on air today is a good inspiration to everybody out there, because right now everybody dreams of going into something of their own and having a success out of it. And the fact that you are sitting here as living proof is probably very appealing to everybody listening in right now.
Absolutely.
And so I know that today we are purely here with celebrating and talking about your achievement on 100K followers. So I'll tell you what, let's head into some bills and we will be back. Stay tuned for finding out how did we reach 100K with Ash. Welcome to the Weekend Takeover. We are currently in conversation with multimedia artist Ash Naidu. Now, we did say that we are here purely based on your achievement as of recently, 100K followers on YouTube. Tell us a little bit more about that little achievement. Was it a goal? How did we get there? And what are we doing to go forward?
Well, yes, the YouTube award is one of my most prized achievements. Basically, it's to commemorate me reaching over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube and over 16 million views on my channel, which, unlike other social media platforms, YouTube is a lot harder to expand on, because it's basically destination viewing as opposed to clickbait and so on and so 100%. Forth.
So, as obviously a South Indian living outside of all of our hometowns, right? We are based in a country where we are born and raised. However, I think we are identified as Indians. And for that, you have brought us a proud name with this achievement. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? You have elevated, I think, maybe once in probably a million, I would say, for the year. we have gotten somebody to actually raise that bar for us?
I think as an artist, that is for me personally my biggest accomplishment is knowing that my artwork, especially when it comes to spirituality and Hinduism, is finally being recognized not only in South Africa but all over the world. Also, in terms of getting to reimagine the deities in very unorthodox ways, being able to
I have
flex
a
my
question around that
creativity.
one when we
Yeah.
get back.
So do I. So do I.
Yeah, so okay, let me just rather get into
Yes,
it.
let's get into
Like
it.
you just mentioned, unorthodox, right? You know, when you're being expressive, there's a lot of kickback you can, pushback
Yes.
you can get. I have questions around that, and I was
Correct.
waiting for this part of the interview. You know, I've been quiet, but how have you? What have been some of? If you want to, you know,
Sure.
get into it, or you can just mention, you know, like a bullet point or two about some sort of maybe kickback that you got, a pushback about being unorthodox in some of the graphics or the designs, and how did you manage to handle that?
Like,
yeah,
Yeah, how do you handle the
Because-
criticism
Yeah,
that you
because
have to
remember
deal
some
with?
people they for the love of God, you know, and their faith and
For
spirituality.
the love of God.
For the love of
For the
God.
love of
For
God.
the love of God. But you know, some people are very orthodox and traditional in certain things. Like I know, for example, if I see a picture of anything that looks a little bit scary to me, I'm like, I'm out. You know, personally. But like when I started learning a bit more about what the actual picture meant, what
Correct.
part of the story, or what when I say story, what part of the, you know, what is the word I'm looking for?
You're looking for a word.
Yeah, you know, like which reincarnation is
Yes.
this, or what, you know, like sort of thing. Then because I work with a lot of foreigners, right?
Mhm.
And people would say, oh, why are your pictures so scary? Or why is this and why is that?
What does it depict?
So I
Yes.
would always be afraid to post them, but I know that once or twice I had the courage to post them because I knew that I could eventually now go back to, I have educated
Questions.
myself
Yes.
and be able to properly and politely, because I think in our religion, in Hinduism, we do not bash any other religions. We more
Absolutely.
about educating. We're all about sharing love
Yes.
and kindness. And so I've learned how to respond to people also being a little bit where I would feel it like personally attacked. So I know that some of the depictions and the expressions of animation and whatever can be, obviously you saying you are an artist, right?
Yes.
So you've got what's coming out of your
Yes.
head. How have you managed some of those situations?
I think my biggest hurdle is, like we said, the Orthodox traditionalists, and it's a little funny because a lot of Indians across the diaspora don't realize that South African Indians are still very steeped in our cultures and
I
our
will agree on
traditions.
that.
I would solidly stand
Yes.
behind you on that.
So, being a South African Indian, certain people or sometimes people would perceive that, hey, you know, as a South African Indian, we do not have sufficient knowledge, or should I say rights, to depict deities that some would feel are more exclusive to our to like places like India, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
And that's really sad, right? Because I'm sure that you would have had some sort of interaction with Indians across the world.
Correct.
Diaspora.
Yes.
Let's just
Yeah.
leave India out. Let's just say Indian diaspora
Yeah.
across the world, right? And I know that there's a group chat that I'm on, right? So I went to India on a No India program a couple of years ago, and we met Indian diaspora from like Mauritius, the Caribbean, right? Guyana, so Trinidad and Tobago. I know they're all listening right now. Portugal, we had one from Portugal. We actually found that we were all very similar. When the prayers are happening, everybody's posting. I think my friends overseas are a lot more Indian than I am. But then we realize that we actually do all the same things. We do
Correct.
the same fasting. We pray the same way. We love the same way. You know, that sort of thing. So, you know, it's interaction basically and education that it has to come across somehow.
So the main question here is, how have you defended your art, creativity, and design upon being attacked at any point about it?
Well, as an artist, as a creative person, I think our default response would always to be on the defensive. When it comes to our artwork, when it comes to the amount of work and effort that we put into something.
Only you remember the little sweat tear
Correct,
that
yeah.
went down that forehead of yours while you were designing
Yeah.
that.
And you're adding into that your passion and your love for your religion.
Absolutely.
So the defensive is on like 100, right?
Yes, so it's not a case where we as South African Indians are appropriating another culture. This
100%.
is our culture as well. We are a part of the Hindu philosophy and Sanatana Dharma, and having to really break it down and explain that to someone on the other end of the world does get a little frustrating at times, but at the end of the day, I still stand to my stance that, especially when it comes to religion, spirituality, philosophies, and Hinduism, which is such a vast, religious stream and philosophy base, no one can ever truly know everything.
Absolutely.
And we are all learning along the way. As much as I try and keep my artwork as accurate and respectful as possible to the source material, of course giving it my own unique style and sense, but criticism is always welcome from my viewers, from my followers, as long as it's done constructively and respectfully.
I think the most concerning thing about criticism is that you not only have to defend your designs, but then you've got to defend the fact that you come from a spiritual
Correct.
place. You've got to defend the fact that you do respect
Yes.
the religion as a whole.
Yes.
But then you get people like me, and I'm sure many other people, who look at your female deity designs and then you add this sort of realness to it. Okay, you have these designs where you have attention to detail when it comes to body parts that obviously it's obvious that it describes you as a woman, and then you take attention to detail to that and you make the design so slender and it is so beautiful. You add this sense of beauty and creativity that this deity is owning the fact that she's also a female, and that is what I enjoy about your design. You are not leaving the images that we were left with a million years ago.
Correct.
But you are also incorporating the modern touch to it.
Absolutely.
And it's not vulgar, it's not to disrespect, but it's to purely design. Like, you are putting those little details and it enhances it to such a point where you look at it and you do not have even an idea of how much power is coming out of that design. If you look at some of your female deity pictures and you look at it and you go, oh my word, now she is beautiful. Like, every single, from her leg to her body to her arm to the way you've set it out in her pose or her stand, the little detail really brings it out. And I think that is where a lot of older mindsets then come and attack. And they like, okay, this is not what we grew up with, but this is what you are educating our kids of today of.
Correct.
And I think it's very important for us to remember, like, we're talking about the older mindsets and these images of, let's say, bare, almost bare, or like, semi-nude, whatever it is, images of our goddesses. That is exactly how women dressed a million years ago.
Correct.
And clothing only came in afterwards. We have to be very, very honest about this, especially when it comes to our religion. Ash, your pictures, your imagery, your expressions of women, their bodies, make them feel very proud to have whatever
to be a woman,
to be a woman,
Absolutely.
to
be a woman.
possess every
And
single power that women
Yeah,
have.
and I want to come back to this. Everybody was watching Hiramandi a while ago,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And everybody was like, oh, this dance. Which actress was it? She did this walk, right?
Oh, yes.
It was,
Right. It's the elephant walk. Or it's not the elephant walk. It's another walk.
It's the hip walk.
Yes, it's the hip, but
It's the hip
there's a
walk.
traditional dance,
Aditi
right?
Rao,
Yeah,
yes.
but there's a traditional dance. Like in India, you have the snake dance. There's a lot of different expressions in our culture, right? And everybody was like, oh my God, she showed like her back fat, basically. She really doesn't have any, but she
But how
people
beautifully.
were going on about that.
Mhm.
But why can we not go on about the other images that we have and of our actual goddesses?
But how beautifully was that depicted?
So it was
That is
depicted
what I'm
beautifully,
saying.
but I'm saying that she was fully clothed mostly, right? And that was almost women felt a sense of femininity in it, right? And I think that's what comes across in your pictures.
But
There's
exactly.
power in it. I think when we were speaking last year sometime, there was something we would have been going through, maybe at the same time or whatever. And she said to me, but it's this is my prayer time and this is who it is. You almost feel like there's an aura around you, like there's a layer of protection around you.
Yes.
When you feel more confident in yourself, especially as a woman.
They say that every Indian goddess can be possessed within women
Absolutely.
as well. And when we look at those designs, like for example, you've designed a picture of Lakshmi, and you look at every little detail, and you're like, I can possess Lakshmi. I am a breadwinner. I am somebody who goes out there and earns
Absolutely.
money. And
Yes.
then this is how I am portrayed. I'm not portrayed with someone covering my head or just like
Yes.
clothes. I am portrayed as what I am. You are portraying reality to our deities.
So give it off to Shiv Shakti in that.
Oh, thank you.
It doesn't have to be just one way or the
Correct.
other. And I think that's what Hinduism is. It's a Shiv Shakti. It's a bit of both,
Absolutely.
right? So Ashlyn, I'm saying Scotch, Ashlyn, thank you so much. I have really, really enjoyed this interview. I'll tell you why.
I really have myself. But before we do just end it off very, very abruptly, just one more question that I do have for you. When it comes to the male audience and female audience of your supporters and people that you have built up, and including the award that you've received when it came to achieving 100K followers on YouTube, who would you say is your more supporting party?
Definitely the female audience.
Yes, okay. Because we are obviously appreciating the art a bit more.
Yes.
But you do provide a lot of artistic pieces out there that send a message to men as well.
Absolutely.
I've had a look at, and you don't only specialize
Yes.
in Hinduism deity designs.
Yes.
You have a vast platform
Correct.
with several different things that you have to offer.
Yes.
So how has that been for you?
It's been really phenomenal in terms of the overwhelming support that I've gotten from not just Indians and Hindus across the world, but people of all cultural beliefs and religious systems, purely for their appreciation of the arts, as well as the sentimental message behind it. And at the end of the day, even though I'm depicting Hindu deities, but the message behind the artwork is generally universal messages that can resonate with anyone.
And do we have a mentor that we have followed all this time? Do we have somebody that you could solidly say upon receiving an award one day that you have always had me?
Well, I think my mentors were my grandmothers, who unfortunately are not around, but they basically seeded the interest and the fascination in the culture. And obviously my mom, who is a single parent, but she encouraged and she promoted my passion for the arts since a very young age. So I'd say my grandparents and my mom.
So big ups to the family that you come from.
Yes.
Because it's usually, well, not usually, but in most cases, a lot of people have turned their backs on their creative kids, and then you somehow find a mentor outside that.
Yes.
But the fact that you've had a very supportive family is a blessing.
So I'm just so happy that you mentioned that, and we really, really are going to be looking forward to it. So if that's
Thank
any
you.
motivation for you to get going,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
share that with us, because I mean, everybody's gonna see it. It's going to be shared internationally at the rate that
Absolutely.
you're going with 100K followers and 16 million views.
100%.
You know, on your YouTube at least. Just keep it coming, Ash.
I think it'll be a very proud moment for me personally, for my family, for my friends and supporters to know that as a proudly South African Indian, to have developed apart from my short form animations, to develop something more of a storytelling base in terms of the film industry. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your time, your story, for having the comfortability to actually come over here and give that to us. And I think that you have established yourself to such a point where that it's a proper honor to have you with us today. So we really do wish you everything of the best and more down your venture to many, many more. 100Ks to a million.
To a million.
To a million.
To a million. We add in those
And,
zeros. That is what we do.
Yes.
And this is not a goodbye forever, because we are awaiting your next achievement for when you are back here to share that with us. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for your
Thank you
time,
guys for
Ash.
having me today.
It has been phenomenal talks right here with Ash Naidu in the designing world. Selisha Singh, are you happy?
I'm so excited. I'm really very happy.
Myself, I'm extremely happy that we got to meet our Navaratri fans. Like, we were fans of those posters.
She asked me, she says, is this the same Ash
that helped me? That helped me?
Literally. So, and I said, yeah, I'm sure you know him. She's like, it's him, he's coming. I was like, yeah.
I'm like, yes, let's go. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for your
guys.
time, Ash. That was Ash Naidu, guys. You guys can follow him on Instagram, Facebook, and get tuned to if you are interested in multimedia.